Oh, and we are live in our next episode of umbraCoffee. It's Friday. It's a special Friday because our friend Pete announced yesterday the really unknown idea of having Umbraco tea or Umbraco teas day, and we are all wearing Umbraco teas right now, right? I have a.
I am.
Yeah, we have Alliance from Dagfest, and our two guests today guests who are Karl and Frederik are proudly wearing the latest CodeCabin t-shirts. Hi guys, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
I had a huge battle, to be honest, today to pick the correct T-shirt, and I was wearing for a half day the Umbraco T-shirt from UK Festival, and it was named yesterday that it's all done for the honor of Umbraco Festival organizers. So I think that we should all right now here give a huge high five for everyone who is doing festivals, and we are all preparing right now for the one of the biggest festivals, which will happen in London in Callum.
Three weeks today, I think, is the
3 weeks today.
It's come around so quickly.
Yeah, and guys, are you all coming to UK Festival? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm also doing the hackathon for the first time ever.
Awesome.
I'm afraid not.
And Frederik, will you be there or not?
No, I'm afraid not.
Not this year. Okay.
But you've been busy. You've both been to CodeCabin, as we can see by your T-shirts, and it looked like quite an intense weekend.
It was.
Share some more info about it with us, and I will meanwhile share a screen with a great picture made by Doug from this weekend, and we were all following the hashtags and of course the activity from the event. So if you can share some more insights than those which were released and publicly shared via Twitter, it will be awesome. So
I'm not sure that would be healthy for careers, but I should. Would you take it, Matt? We had a situation that we had 4 Matts and 2 Emmas out of 24 people. So there was a nice amount of name confusion. But yeah, it was a really nice event. Like staying in your living room with the friends and extended family, learning and having fun. That's basically it.
Yeah, it's 3 nights in the cabin in the Peak Districts, just discussing Umbraco and web development and just being immersed in the entire experience with each other.
Yeah, and so something that Karl and I were talking about just before we went on was this weekend looked like it was quite intense, and actually there was quite a lot of productivity, and perhaps sometimes before CodeCabins have been boozy, I think was the word that was used, but this looked a lot more focused, and it looked like it was a really valuable weekend. A lot of great output came from it. We saw some fantastic pull requests. I think a load of people made their first V8 pull requests, didn't they?
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion around V8 and headless. So I think a couple of people did their first core commits and was approved by Seb, whilst he was on the retreat as well. And yeah, there was lots of discussion around headless and just mentoring. There was lots of subjects.
Yeah, a lot of tabs and links are still loading on my machine, but I'm going to share some of the tweets which we saw. And guys, if you can add a couple words to those topics, feel free to interrupt. We've seen the GIF made by Jan Skoviard, and yeah, it's from the PR being merged, and it was great to have also Sebastian in the house, who had the ability to help you with probably solving those PRs and merging them.
Yeah, this is the ultimate GIF, and if you look really closely, you'll see that Emma has the original GIF on her laptop screen. She's in fact pretending to type.
Okay.
You're going to have to top it at the UK Fest with 15 or so.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's fantastic, and as you say, Marcin, it's kind of cool that Sebastian went along, because it gave everyone that maybe hadn't contributed before or that needed some help with contributing that little kick into making their first pull request or making a first contribution to V8 or just getting used to the changes that are coming.
Yeah, something else which we spotted was the mind map created for a full stack Umbraco developer, and I save it for future reference because it's a really huge amount of work placed in this mind map. And guys, can you say more about the process of creation of it and maybe the purpose or the idea behind it?
So yeah, this was created by Matt Brailsford, and I think it's only the front end side of things. So what's involved in terms of front end development, what packages you need to know about, what tool set you need, whether you need to use Webpack, Gope, and yeah, that just it stemmed from a discussion about what it is to be a full stack developer and also talking about performance in front end.
Yeah.
And it quickly got out of control to be this massive tree.
I think that the good idea would be to open source it and maybe get some pull requests from people who are doing Umbraco development, because obviously we can grow this tree in both sides, and the front end side it looks really impressive already, but backend also probably can be spread, especially if we'll include some kind of, I don't know, Azure functions and some serverless to that, and some languages which might be used to create some logic which might communicate with headless and even more. It can grow, but it's great to see that, and definitely if someone will be calling someone a full stack Umbraco developer, it's good to see what can be involved in this process.
It's scary how much is involved. And
definitely.
From it's a bit daunting.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mind was blown when I read all of that. I was like, "Oh, damn!" I saw a good comment on Twitter, I think, from Matt Brailsford saying, "I don't know many people that know all of this, and it's okay to not know all of this.
Yeah.
Like it truly is overwhelming." And also, I noticed that Dean in the chat's asking for a link. We'll post a link to everything we've discussed in today's episode in the description when we've gone offline. So don't worry, you can have a look at that very soon.
Yeah, and you've mentioned that there were some topics about V8 and contributions to V8, and we've noticed some pull requests, and Lottie created a whole documentation section about content apps. And I saw that there were some work done around content apps. And were you involved in those works, or what were your main focus on during the CodeCabin this year?
Yeah, the content apps one was just a discussion about what they are, what you can do with them, and what they should be used for. It was quite quick to see that there's not a huge amount of documentation, so some people at the event took it upon themselves to go and create that. And I think Lottie's kind of spearheaded that and tried to set something up on ours so that we can all read the documentation that we've got so far. And it's obviously going to evolve and change over time, so nothing's finalized now. I don't imagine HQ even know where this will end up when it's finished, but it's a good start.
And for those that don't know, what the hell is a content app?
So a content app is in V8 we're replacing tabs with an accordion style system for the actual properties, and then alongside the node you can have an application or what is now in a tab, and that can have information specific to the node. So suggestions for content apps have been analytics data about the single node, just where that page is being linked to. So if you were going to delete it, you could have a list of pages that link to this, so you know that you've got to go and change some content. And I think just general statistics about the page itself.
Yeah, and the possibilities are kind of endless with this, because it's just an angular view, and you can map your controller to that and do whatever you want. You have the full context of the node in the CMS, I believe, so you can access everything, all the properties, all of the different things. And people have started going away and creating some quite cool things. I think Lottie's documentation includes a very simple example of just pulling out the node ID and some other properties that you can. But it's called Cake, I believe.
Yes, and we also saw that Paul still created a first content app based on this documentation, and I've just scrolled through it meanwhile when you were talking about it, and it looks like a really great starting point and a complex information about how to start doing the content apps. And also we've noticed Karl's activity around content apps, and it's great to see that it's possible and it's easy to create those content apps, and right now the possibilities are endless, probably, because we can see probably not only SEO or analytics content apps, but really personalized applications which will be extending the content layer of Umbraco content, basically.
Also, Karl just extended the first versions by introducing access-based, just missed the word there, sorry. Role-based access to features in the content apps. So you basically, in your manifest, you can define which role in the back office should be allowed to use this content app.
Yeah, that's really great. And we also were teased by some other work done by community members, right? And Jeffrey from Perplex shared an insights about a new package which will be released next week. So this week we are talking about possible release for the next week and possible involvement in umbraCoffee for the next year. And it's if anyone from you discovered more about it, maybe spoke with Jeffrey or something like that. It's about building, editing your content without writing any line of code. Sounds really interesting.
This is a Google Home integration, I believe, or from what he's teased, kind of like voice control for the CMS. I mean, I don't hugely find these voice assistants that useful, and they're never that accurate. So I wonder how painful that will be as an experience. I look forward to seeing what Jeffrey and the rest of the Perplex team manage to achieve with that. So
it'd be good with an accent.
Oh yeah,
always.
And my Ponglish language. Yeah, that would be awesome to code with it.
It would be great to be able to say, "Oh, Alexa, create me a new homepage."
Or blog section.
Alexa, start a new blog. That
and
would
it
be
just
really
goes to Theme Forest, picks a theme for you, and implements it, right?
Yeah.
And speaking about voice assistant, we can of course mention also another blog which came to the community. Karl, who is known from integrating Alexa services, finally shared the whole introduction how to do it, basically, with Umbraco Headless and Alexa skill. And we will of course link that blog in the description section if anyone will be willing to play with Alexa and skills.
Yeah.
I saw Karol's talk on German festival, and it looks really interesting. Besides those challenges with accents and people who are not fluent in English, basically, it's really interesting to see it working.
Yeah, definitely. And so something I've just noticed from the chat, I think I may have said something a minute ago that might have triggered a few people's Amazon devices to go off and ask for something. But yeah, it's super powerful what you could do with this tech, and it's pluggable. Carol's done a few good blog posts. First one in a while this time about integrating headless. Gives you a really good start on how to go away and implement your own stuff, maybe build your own cool
skills. Did a great demo at CodeCabin as well of how that interacts with headless. And I think as a result of CodeCabin, she's also done a bit more documentation or a blog post about that as well.
Ooh,
really good.
Yeah, Matthew just wrote on chat that the next week in umbraCoffee it will be Alexa by umbraCoffee swag. I would say that we can use Alexa for Alexa, collect all the news for umbraCoffee this week. Then we will have a correct list of links and topics to discuss. But yeah, there are also endless possibilities. Callum, what else do we have this week? Do you?
Well, I mean, I think we could probably mention some festival stuff, because whilst talking about these this unconference, CodeCabin, there's also a ton of festival stuff that's happening. We had the US Fest last week where I was there, and Niels shared, I think, possibly my favorite session from the week was Pete's talk on GraphQL and how we could use that in Umbraco. Some great work that's been done by Rasmus and Pete in collaboration. They've built a whole GraphQL engine on top. And on a similar note, Matt Brailsford's done his headrest package, which again, I think it's a REST API for Umbraco, where you can kind of map your documents to your own view model. And it looks like a really, really clean implementation for REST in Umbraco. So yeah, similar things happening, two different approaches, but some really, really cool things. And yeah, the US Fest talk that Pete did is also coming to the UK Fest, which is happening in 3 weeks, as Martin mentioned. Yep. We've got the DK Fest next week as well. Is anyone going to that? Frederik?
No, I'm afraid. I think Matt is talking there.
Matt Brailsford's everywhere, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing
Tailwind, if I recall correctly.
Tailwind CSS. Yep, that looks really cool. And then the UK Fest a few weeks after, and then the Sweden Fest as well. We're kind of slap bang in the middle of this peak festival season. So hopefully a lot of good stuff coming our way in the next few weeks. I saw a blog post. Did you see this, Marcin, about the Dutch Fest?
Yes, this is the one which I have opened right now. And what I was going to ask people, if you are attending any of the festivals, just share what you've learned and what you've seen there. And I think that it's awesome for us as well to see someone else's opinions about festivals where we were, I don't know, talking or at least participating, because being at the festival right now is not possible to be, you know, everywhere and see every talk, every chat. And every time when I'm seeing someone else's description about the event, I can see something else. And right now, for example, we can find our picture, right, Callum, from the event, and we were not able to take this picture. So yeah,
looks like you find a couch everywhere, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they are finding us. But that was really cool, and yeah, I highly encourage people to share, because even talking about this DK festival, as we won't be there, it will be great to see what happened there. And if the festival is not releasing, I don't know, talks or videos, which by the way we've released from Polish Festival last in couple last days, it's good to see what happened there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, Callum, our section which we wanted to do each week was the contribution of the week.
Yes. So I completely forgot about this. Okay, so I think a long time ago there was a discussion on our Umbraco on the issue tracker about making right to left support for the CMS. Did anyone see that?
Yeah.
So Chris Houston has gone away and done it. He showed it off to Niels and to Stefan at the US festival, and I also had a quick look at it, and we spoke about it in quite some depth, and it looks super interesting. They're looking for a little bit of help just to get it perfect, but for me, this is my contribution of the week. This is a really, really awesome piece of work. Someone's made the entire CMS work right to left.
He's asking for some translators as well, I think, to do some of the Arabic and other languages that they need.
He's been posting tweets in other languages to see if anyone picks up on it, including Runa, who's mastered the language of writing backwards, it seems.
Yeah, I was going to say that I really like those comments here, and yeah, it's a really nice brain exercise to read it from the right to left. And yeah, if anyone is able to help Umbraco with translating anything to the languages which are supported in the right to left mode, yeah, do that. It's still Hacktoberfest, right? We still have plenty of room to gain respect and swag from various sources to contribute and help community. And we had some new releases this week. CO Checker from Richard Sutterman was released in with some bug fixes for version 2.2. And did we have any other packages? You've mentioned Matt Brailsford's REST package, which is on GitHub now. We will of course link it as well. And guys, do you have anything else what popped out during this week in terms of new releases?
Was Look out this week, or was that last week?
I think that was last week, but Hendy's been actively working on that.
Yeah.
Really actively working on improving that package. And I was speaking to him last night at the London meetup about how the plans for that and introducing fasting capabilities and some quite cool stuff. And he said the way he described it to me kind of made it click. It's all of the search stuff that you don't want to have to write, and it just does it. It's kind of super simple. It just sits on top of Examine and makes everything work, and you just don't have to worry. So it's cool. If you haven't seen Look, go and have a look. It's a powerful wrapper around Examine to make more advanced searching possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and jumping to maybe other topics from the releases, we had an information from the HQ about coding classes in Umbraco HQ, and I'm every time amazed about it because you might not know, but I'm involved in some activities around teaching kids how to program here in Poland, and that's great. It's always great to see that Umbraco is involved in those types of activities, and we have a blog post about it, right? Yep, we have it here. So if you are interested in how Umbraco is helping young kids to discover the world of programming and IT at all, it's great to see and be inspired. And we also started some chats with Warren on Twitter about tools for helping kids starting the programming journey. And I'm going to write it more about it and maybe create some kind of blog post. So if you have children in age 5 to 16 and you are curious how to start coding with them and playing basically while learning how to code, I'm more than happy to help with it. And about blog posts, we had some other blog posts. Callum, you've gathered all of them together before we've gone live. So it was about sitemaps for Umbraco, right?
Yeah, this is Niels. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Schwimberger. He's Belgian, but I think he's based in the US now. This is his first blog post on how to create a simple sitemap, and it looks pretty thorough. And
and as really even nice a really experienced team, we are all suffering from creating the best implementation of sitemaps, right? For more complex sites. So it's great to see how other people are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one was about security. And Azure Key Vault?
Yeah, this came at a really good time because I'm in the process of writing some documentation about Azure Key Vault for a client, so I can rip off most of this blog post and send it on. I know Fred's a big security fan, and this is like a very nice security feature of Azure. So Mikkel from HQ's kind of doing this blog series now on a few of the security features that are available in Azure. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah. And maybe as a last topic, not directly related to Umbraco, I was following the GitHub Universe activities, and maybe it's related with Umbraco because we might have seen Perplug doing a discussion panel about open source and open source work with enterprises and business, basically. And I wanted to share some data with you if you haven't seen it. GitHub each year release something called OCTOVERSE when they are gathering some data basically about activity on GitHub each year. And we might have for example, information about number of developers contributing to open source, number of organizations, and it's this year it's divided into people, projects, and platform. And what was really interesting for me was, for example, number of the ranking of countries which are the most contributing ones. UK is on the 4th place, and it was taken down in over a couple of years from place 2. Poland is on the 14th or 15th position. So you might have found your country and see how it's active on GitHub, for example. And the project was also interesting because Microsoft is once again ruling the world with open source contributions. And here, Visual Studio Code repository has the top open source. Wow. It's a top number of contributors involved in the project, which is really interesting. And fastest growing open source project is an Azure documentation project, which multiplied by almost 5 times since last year.
That's cool. And I know a few people for their Hacktoberfest have been doing contributions to the Microsoft Docs. So
yeah, it's also good to see some new cool projects being started on GitHub. I don't know, guys, if you followed this stats in the past years, but I'm always trying to inspire myself by the other projects, and it really reflects what's going on in the open source industry. And some numbers, Microsoft, by having 7,700 employees or people doing contributions to their project from outside of Microsoft. And what's interesting, more than 40% of ASP.NET Core was written not by Microsoft. So, yeah, it's really impressive. And yeah, top topics. Still, as we've mentioned, we have Hacktoberfest. I'm going to spend some nights or days playing with some tools and technologies which I'm not involved in on a daily basis. And here we can find what's hot and what's top topics. So yeah, and Hacktoberfest is fastest growing topic this month, which is obvious. So yeah, we will share this link. You can see this data there. Really interesting and something for people being involved in open source. I think that we should follow and maybe learn from those repos and those contributions and adapt it to our work. What do you think about it?
Definitely.
And guys, are you planning to participate in Hacktoberfest? Do some hacking contributions?
I think CodeCabin was my attempt at that.
How many pull requests you have submitted already?
Over time, or this month. Nothing this month.
That's fine.
I did start working on something, but then I quickly realized someone else was working on it, so I was like, okay, I'll start with that one.
Yeah, that happens quite often. And also, I think this week I saw a nice discussion that Simone, who's been on umbraCoffee before, started about just kind of all day, not your in work hours, not necessarily being given the opportunity to contribute, and then you need a life outside of work. Yeah. So feeling bad though because you then don't get to contribute, and there's other ways of contributing. So by attending CodeCabin, you're already contributing to open source and a community and all of that. So it's not just about code. Hacktoberfest is one example.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to share that we are all humans. We all face the same issues with time management and things. And yeah, it's good that we have more or less opportunities to contribute. We had a busy week this week, for example. We haven't had time. I still suffer from lack of time, and I'm still working on time management things, and I'm not doing lot of things which I'm planning to do, and I will be talking about it basically on UK Fest, because I have it was released right this week that we have some new speakers for UK Fest, and my talk will be titled "Fail Often, Do Stupid Things, Learn and Repeat." And maybe I will mention also how I'm not doing things, which is also my personal failure, and we are all failing a lot. Which is good to mention. And yeah, we don't need to force ourselves to do more than we are doing, because we are already doing a lot. Everyone is doing a lot of things.
Absolutely. I think that's a nice note to end on, because as we said, CodeCabin, you're doing a lot by going, you're doing a lot by writing blogs or making pull requests or attending meetups. Karl, you spoke at the Bristol meetup yesterday, 2 days ago?
It was on Tuesday, so the day after coming back from CodeCabin, we had a meetup in Bristol. Rock Solid Knowledge. So we just talked about CodeCabin and also what's coming in Umbraco 8.
Very nice. See, everyone has their own ways of contributing. It's all okay.
Yeah, and Frederik, I presume that you are looking a lot how to hack Umbraco and how to find gates to make it vulnerable for another issues.
I spent a bit of the off time at CodeCabin trying to break the back office. Found a few small things. And turned out that they were already fixed, but the release hadn't come out yet. So, but I made an effort, but apparently I'm not a lead hacker. So,
but it's also a contribution, right? Because might not be represented in numbers of pull requests or something else. But as we all know, it's not a competition, but still, it's all done to make the product and community and our work better, which is awesome.
I try to scare people a little bit every day, and hopefully raise awareness a bit.
Any motivation is good, right? And fear is the most probably the best motivation for me. For example, fear of that.
It's not always the best, but it can start a good discussion at least, which is what you learn from. So
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, that's I think that's perfect way to end this amazing episode and get back to being scared and scare other people by things. Thank you guys for joining us and sharing how it was on CodeCabin. And not only, we will of course link to every material underneath the video. And do you want to add something else to this topic?
Just apply for CodeCabin 19, but it's a lot of fun. You learn. Meet a lot of friendly people.
And you get some amazing food cooked by Lucy Browse.
Oh, yes.
That too.
Yeah, we've seen that. It made me hungry more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone who was participating in the chat during the episode. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the day and have a great weekend.
You too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.